Attention, listener, I have an assignment for you. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to engage with the Real Nerds, aka the best podcast on the internet. You can listen to their episodes on their website, realnerdspodcast.com. And you can also listen to them on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, and iTunes. Follow their social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This message will self-destruct never.
Camera, action!
Well, a real nerd knows who shot, and a real nerd can follow the plot, and a real nerd
Just
can...
talk film! I'm sorry.
Take it outside.
Well, a real nerd knows who shot, and a real nerd can follow the plot, and a real nerd will give it all they got. Lights, camera, action! Real nerds!
Welcome to a special episode of Real Nerds Podcast. I am Corinne, and today is Selection Sunday for Movie Madness 2023. I can't believe this is our fourth year doing this tournament. I started it in March 2020. The pandemic happened. Everything shut down. I said, I'm going crazy. I need to do a tournament in March to stay sane. So we started Movie Madness. The first one was just 16 random movies I had on my shelf. The next year we did Disney Pixar. And then last year we did Marvel versus DC. Well, here to help announce the bracket with me to give his commentary is the fellow real nerd who helped me come up with this year's theme, Brad Haig. How are you doing tonight, Brad?
Hey, what's up? I'm ready to just completely demolish this idea of yours that I'm
demolish
a co-conspirator on.
Way?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I just a couple weeks ago, I had a couple of ideas floating around of what we could do. I was thinking maybe different directors or something. And I asked for your input, and you had this great idea to do movies based on sports, like sports movies. And I'm like, that's perfect for March, March Madness.
No, the perfect idea was the Oscar pool idea, but you jettisoned that idea for the sports one, which sure, yeah, it's still great because I sort of came up with it. So,
well, and also I haven't had you on yet to give your commentary, so I think this worked out really nicely. Maybe next year we'll have Zach to do a commentary with whatever we end up picking for next year. But I'm just really excited. Sports movies for Movie Madness 2023. I did end up coming up with some criteria to help me put the bracket together this year, because there are a lot of sports movies. Some of them I haven't seen. Some of them I don't even know anything about. I kind of went through the internet. I asked you fellow nerds. I asked some other friends of mine who are big sports fans and fellow sports reporters with me, and just kind of asked what are your favorite sports movies, and just Googled best sports movies of all time. And there are just so many. So I ended up coming up with this bracket based on a combination of the movies I like, the movies that you fellow nerds recommended to me, my other friends recommended, and just a couple of other ideas that I got from the internet. But my criteria was, number one, it has to be released within my lifetime. So we started from 1990, 1991. So anything that came out before then does not qualify.
Oh, wow.
Sadly, I know we threw out a lot of movies, but maybe in a future year we can do pre-1990 sports movies, but there's just way too many to get through. And I think more modern sports movies might be a little bit different than the older ones, so I didn't feel like that was fair. We kind of did the same thing last year with Marvel and DC, where we were kind of considering should Batman 89 be going up against Batman v Superman or whatever? It's it's not fair. Anyway, so yeah,
it's not fair to Batman v Superman.
Right. So this year we just had to narrow it down. That really helped. And so, movies released after 1990. And the other criteria was that the main character or the co-main character has to play or coach the sport. So if it was just, like a parent or I don't know, like a fan or something, like no, one of the main characters has to play or coach the sport for it to count. Also, I generally kind of threw out movies that had animals involved, like Seabiscuit or Airbud. I did consider Airbud at one point, but I was like, nah, that's yeah, it's a little different. So
That could really be its own March Madness, like animal sports movies.
for sure. I mean, we do have one movie on the list that has quote animals in it, but when you see it, you'll understand. So, Brad, any general thoughts on the criteria or just the idea of sports movies for Movie Madness this year?
No, there's a lot of them. And thinking about it, I can't really think of a ton of old ones anyway.
Oh, there's a bunch. Like all the lists I saw online had Rocky is like in the top 10. So I'm like almost all the Rocky movies are gone. Like Bull Durham's in there. I think Field of Dreams is in there
Wow.
because I think that came out in the 80s. So yeah, a lot of Hoosiers got thrown out too. So like I
Yeah.
said, we can revisit it in a future tournament, but just for our purposes this year, I think it's easier to just narrow it down based on like a 30-year time frame.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's not a lot of brackets anyway, so you got to make some tough calls.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. There's one post I saw that was like 150 greatest sports movies. I'm like, holy crap, there are 150 of them at least. You can make a greatest list. Like we have so many sports movies.
I'm curious what's going to end up being a sport, because there's also a question of like there's a lot of different sports and not enough brackets for all those sports.
One thing I found very interesting as I was putting the brackets together is there are almost no sports movies about volleyball, like no big mainstream ones. I don't like that. So I don't know. Maybe we all hate volleyball for some reason. But then again, like Haikyuu, which is an anime, is very popular and it's about volleyball. So
Yeah, Top Gun has a volleyball scene, so
yeah, but they play it.
the
but
main character plays it.
It's the movie's not about the sport of volleyball. They just happen to play volleyball in a movie about them being pilots. It's a little bit different. Okay, so I did kind of go back and forth on how exactly to arrange the brackets this year. I initially was going to do it by sport, but then I ended up kind of doing it more by season. And I'll explain a little bit more as we go, but basically like, winter sports, summer sports, spring, fall. And we're doing it based on kind of general American, like high school or college sports calendars, since that's what I'm most familiar with. We do have a couple of year-round sports in there as well that, again, I'll explain more when we get to it. But Brad, are you ready?
Let's do this.
All right. So starting us off at the top of the bracket, we decided to kick it off with the winter sports since that's the season we're in right now. On Thursday, March 16th, we have Cool Runnings versus Space Jam.
So bobsledding versus basketball.
Right. Again, these are both like Cool Runnings is based on the bobsled team from Jamaica, and they compete at the Winter Olympics. And then, of course, in America, basketball is typically a winter sport for like the high school and college teams. So I tried to, again, mix up the sports based on what season they're played in.
Well, I feel like they're both also a little bit of 90s nostalgia together. So it's
Right,
not a
exactly.
bad pairing.
Right. I tried to pair them up based on the season. Sometimes I got them based on the sport, but if I couldn't on the sport, it was also based on the tone. So like Cool Runnings and Space Jam are both more comedy, and the next matchup you'll see is more drama.
Yeah, I feel like you could have included Mighty Ducks or Big Green into this competition.
I considered it. I have the next matchup does have a hockey movie, so I had to jettison the Mighty Ducks for this next movie. But Cool Runnings versus Space Jam. What's your thoughts?
I think Space Jam's going to run away with it.
Really?
I mean, it was recently like reintroduced into the cultural zeitgeist, and I just feel like there's a lot more. I don't know. I just feel like I see more people commenting about Space Jam than I do Cool Runnings. Like Cool Running was great when it came out, but you haven't really heard any like rumblings about it since for a long time.
Oh my gosh, I love Cool Running so much. I love Space Jam too, but I mean, Space Jam is just more of like a weird, funny like movie you liked as a kid that you have a lot of nostalgia for. Like, I don't think it's objectively a good movie. I think it's just really weird. But Cool Runnings is like a legitimately good movie, and it has John Candy in it, and everybody loves John Candy. Anyway, sorry, I'm not supposed to give commentary. I
You're
have to
not.
be objective in case I need to have a tiebreaker vote because I think we're just doing the polls on Twitter this year since Facebook is still really stupid. So
Yeah.
in case we do need a tie-breaking vote, that's going to end up being me.
Plus, Space Jam's going to win because Henry's just going to spam the poll with as many votes as possible and crush Cool Running. So
That's possible. Oh my gosh. Yeah, also decided not to do seeds this year. Just I didn't have enough time, and like I said, I was trying to pair them up based more on like tone and the sport and everything. So I figured with seeds it'd be really hard to do that. All right, so moving down, our second matchup of the tournament on Friday, March 17th, we have Miracle versus Hustle. So for those of you who don't or who are unfamiliar, Miracle is the movie based on I think it's the 1980 US hockey team that ended up beating the Soviet Union's like super, really really good hockey team. Like America was definitely the underdogs that year, and they ended up beating them and ended up winning the gold medal. So it was a huge deal. And then Hustle is a recent Netflix movie with Adam Sandler where he's an assistant basketball coach who ends up, well, he's also basketball coach slash scout, where he finds this kid, he's like 22, finds this guy overseas and thinks he's going to be the next big player and ends up like putting his whole career on the line to bring this guy over to the States and have him train to be in the NBA, basically. So I talked about it recently on the podcast. I know Ryan had it on his film explosion list, but I don't know if it's well known enough to make a big splash in movie madness this year.
are you waiting for me to
Brad?
say something?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not excited about this matchup. You've got a historical hockey movie versus like a recent basketball movie. I feel like a historical, at least a historical basketball movie, would have been a little better.
I consider Coach Carter. I'm not doing Glory Road because my personal reasons with that movie, but I was considering Coach Carter, which I do believe is based on a true story, but it's been a long time since I've seen that movie and I didn't feel comfortable putting it on a list like this. But yeah, I think Hustle, I don't know. Yeah, it might not be well known enough for people to really vote for it.
Yeah, I don't know a lot of people our age that even remember the U.S. hockey team. Like, I mean, I remember the movie. I still haven't seen it, but as important of an event as it was, again, it's not something that I think people browsing the internet right now remember that well. So I think the star power of Hustle might take it.
Well, we'll see. All right. What are your general thoughts on the winter sports region, as it were? Which of the four Cool Runnings, Space Jam, Miracle, or Hustle do you think is going to advance to the final four?
Definitely Space Jam.
All right. Henry better come through for us.
It's just too popular, and I'm disappointed because there's so many other fun winter movies that are not on this list and whatever.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, it's like
I know, like you
movies I like,
said Mighty Ducks, and Ryan said Eddie the Eagle. I gave preference to movies that I was more familiar with, but
Yeah, it's your thing. But I'm just like, I, Tanya could have been there. Blades of Glory is fun. Again, that's like two skating movies, but Goon for hockey. I'm sure a lot of people like are going to be wondering like, why isn't Slapshot on there? Because that's like a classic hockey movie. I haven't seen it, but
I think it's older. I
oh
want to
yeah,
say
you're
it was
right. It's probably got cut
90s.
off because yeah, it's like 70s.
I know one of my former coworkers, he's a fellow sports reporter. He had recommended Mystery Alaska, which is a hockey movie, and I'm like, I've never heard of this.
Yeah,
So
see
now I need to check it out.
that would actually been a better pairing with Miracle because I think they also came out around the same time. So yeah, it was
I don't
like
know. I also wanted to get as many sports represented as possible. So I didn't want to do like 4 basketball movies or 4 hockey movies. Like I really wanted to get Cool Runnings in there because I love Cool Runnings. And I mean,
yeah.
technically Space Jam was in our very first movie madness and it went out in the first round to, I think it was like Spider-Verse or something. So I felt weird bringing it back, but I'm like, I love Space Jam. Like, I think it's got to be in there. It's like kind of a quintessential sports movie minus the Looney Tunes.
Yeah, then you got like ski movies, like all the really bad like ski school 90s. Like yeah. Well yeah, 90s. That would have but you know, they're not great, but I guess that's kind of the requirement of this whole thing is that they have to be at least great movies and not just late night HBO ridiculousness.
Right. I'm looking at the rest of it, and I honestly think Space Jam might arguably be like objectively the worst movie of the whole bracket.
But I think it's gonna win. It's just that popular compared to all the rest. So what's next?
All right, so we're moving down to the spring sports. Again, we're just going by the calendar season. And unfortunately, this ended up being all baseball movies. I'm sorry. We had to, I know like in some schools, soccer is a spring sport, but soccer ended up being a fall sport for the bracket. And for whatever reason, like there just aren't a lot of other spring sports movies that I could find that I felt should be on this list. So yeah, all 4 baseball movies. I'm sorry. We all apparently America, Hollywood loves baseball movies. Anyway, so on Saturday, March 18th, we have 42 versus A League of Their Own. Which admittedly 42 I haven't seen, but I had multiple people recommend it for the list.
Wow, you haven't seen 42 yet?
I know. I need to. I mean, I love
Chadwick
Chadwick
Boseman
Boseman.
classic, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to give it to a League of Their Own on this one. As good as 42 is, I again, it's like Space Jam. I think it's just in the cultural zeitgeist, League of Their Own is just
That's right.
much
It's
more
got the
permeated.
series out now.
Yeah, it's got a series. Like a lot of those actresses are really popular still. So
Mm-hmm. And to be
yeah.
clear, I'm talking about the movie. I'm not talking about the TV show. Oh boy,
Yeah.
if we could include TV shows on here, Ted Lasso would be for sure like numero uno.
That'd be awesome. But yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
you think League of Their Own's going to advance?
I think so.
Okay. All right, so 4th matchup of the tournament, Sunday, March 19th, we have Angels in the Outfield versus The Sandlot, 2 of my childhood classics. So, Brad, I don't know. My heart is torn looking at this matchup. Ugh.
I think it's an easy one. The Sandlot is the one that gets programmed in
Yeah.
retro screenings over and over again. So there's definitely a fan base for it. I've never seen a rescreening of Angels in the Outfield. You know, I love me some Christopher Lloyd, but the Sandlot's just that much more popular.
I agree. I do think The Sandlot is objectively more popular, but it's kind of surprising going back and rewatching Angels in the Outfield a couple years ago, just how many like up and coming stars were in that movie. And you didn't realize it at the time. Like Matthew McConaughey is in it, Adrian Brody's in it, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like the main kid. So yeah, and then that's on top of Tony Danza and Christopher Lloyd and
Danny
Glover. Danny Glover, which is the ones that, you know, they were the billed stars of the movie. And then you find out later, like, oh wait, Matthew McConaughey, like Academy Award winner, he's in this movie. Super weird. So Anyway, yeah, I think you're right. I think Sandlot will probably end up advancing. But looking at the spring sports category overall, which one do you think will advance to the final four? 42, A League of Their Own, Angels in the Outfield, or The Sandlot?
Gotta go with the Sandlot again. It's the most popular of those four. I maybe runner up League of Their Own could possibly jump in there and defeat it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure the Sandlot's going to run away with that one.
Yep. All right, so moving down, this next category is kind of sort of a catch-all. Basically summer / year-round sports. So either these are sports that are not like at most high schools, or if they are, like, I don't know, they arguably could be played in the summer, just like in just like people like just regular people might do these in the summer, or they're more like martial arts type sports where you can just play them year round. So our fifth matchup of the tournament on Monday, March 20th, we have Ford versus Ferrari versus Creed.
Racing versus boxing. All right.
Yeah, it's, I know that was a weird thing, but you'll see the next matchup. This was the one time I tried to do it more by tone rather than by sport.
Yeah, I feel like too, Ford v Ferrari is kind of like a buddy movie, whereas Creed's kind of a singular, like a singular protagonist. I mean, yeah, Rocky's in there, but it's really more of a supporting thing. So yeah, that's a weird matchup to me.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen Creed. I was just talking about this with you guys on the podcast. I love Ford v Ferrari. That's definitely a dad movie that every time I'm visiting my dad, I'm like, oh, you want me to get you Ford v Ferrari on Blu-ray or whatever? And you got to watch that. And
yeah, I feel like for this show, like it's a missed opportunity to put Ford v Ferrari up against Rush, because it's about a rivalry.
I haven't seen I haven't seen Rush.
Well, you haven't seen other movies on these lists, so
that is true. Yeah. I guess I just didn't know enough about Rush. At least like with Creed, I know like the basic premise. I know sort of what happens in it. And at least like because Rocky got disqualified because it was released pre-1990, I felt like a Rocky franchise movie should be on the list. Especially right now with Creed 3 being in theaters.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but there's also actually there was a Rocky movie made in 2006, so that does qualify.
I'd rather see Michael B. Jordan.
But yeah, there's like other stuff like Warrior and like another Stallone boxing movie, Grudge Match with Robert De Niro.
There's also Ali. I was considering putting Ali with Will Smith on there.
The Fighter, Cinderella Man.
There are a lot, but again, I went with the movies that either I'd seen or I knew more about them.
Actually, if you'd done Real Steel, it would have been driving machines versus boxing machines.
Oh gosh.
So
who wants to even think about Real Steel? Like that's just a win for Ford v Ferrari right there.
I don't know. I think people are really fond of Hugh Jackman and his little robot boxing robots. So
I thought everybody hated that movie.
I remember being fun. I mean, it wasn't a knockout, but all right. So what's the next one?
All right, yeah. So this is another weird matchup, but it will make more sense than the previous one. We have on Tuesday, March 21st, Happy Gilmore versus Talladega Nights. So again, the previous matchup, more drama. This one, definitely more comedy.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? Happy Gilmore, Talladega Nights?
Yeah, the fact that they're both comedies makes it make more sense. Again, I have the mindset of like pitting the same sports against each other. So Ford v Ferrari versus Talladega Nights. But yeah, the fact that it's a comedy, Happy Gilmore versus Talladega Nights. Oof, that is a tough one. I know Happy Gilmore's like such a favorite. I think Talladega Nights is enough to compete with it, really, because it's also like a modern classic.
I remember going to see it at the drive-in a couple of years ago, and there were quite a few people there. I think it was during 2020 or 2021. No, it must have been 2020 because there weren't any new releases. They were doing all retro stuff, and yeah, Talladega Nights was really well attended. I'm sure
Yeah,
Happy Gilmore would be too, though.
I think it's gonna come down to the age of the voter. Like, um, yeah, older people like Ryan and I. Although my personal vote would go like Talladega Nights makes me laugh way more, but you know, people who grew up with Saturday Night Live and Adam Sandler in that time, that's just like such a beloved classic. So 20 years later, you've got 20 years later, maybe 15 years later, you've got Talladega Nights. I think it's a younger audience is going to go for that one.
Yeah. Well, we shall find out. All right. So looking at the summer/year-round sports category overall, of the four, which do you think will advance to the semifinals? We got Ford v Ferrari, Creed, Happy Gilmore, or Talladega Nights.
I think it's me, Happy Gilmore. Again, it's such a favorite that again, it's either that or Talladega Nights, I think.
You know, the way you said that like Henry is going to rally around Space Jam, I think that Ryan is going to rally around Happy Gilmore.
Oh, for sure.
So I could see him like just like what he did with Beauty and the Beast and Pinocchio a couple of years ago, where he gets all of his coworkers and all of his friends to like go and vote for Happy Gilmore. I could totally see that happening.
And a little variety though. You got two Adam Sandler movies on this in this competition, so that's a little frustrating.
Yeah, we'll blame Ryan for that. I mean, also, I just objectively like Happy Gilmore. I think I like Talladega Nights a little bit better. Talladega Nights, I could sit down and watch the whole movie, like start to finish, no problem. Happy Gilmore, there are a few scenes that either I don't like them, or I think they drag, or they're kind of awkward or something. I watch clips of Happy Gilmore more than I watch the whole movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh, it's a fun one. All right, so our last category of the tournament, fall sports, which for our purposes are going to be football and football, aka soccer. So this one we got matchups based on the sport, not the tone. But well, it sort of worked out where it's both. So on Wednesday, March 22nd, we have The Big Green versus Bend It Like Beckham.
Okay, so two soccer movies.
Right.
Um,
I don't know how many people have seen The Big Green. I remember when we were texting about it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, like you know what The Big Green is?" I've never heard anybody else talk about it. Such an obscure movie from my childhood, but
yeah,
I absolutely love it.
yeah. I just happened to watch it again recently, from on Disney Plus. Yeah, it's fun. But yeah, Bennett like Beckham, I think probably has the edge on it, because it's more of more respected film. Um,
I definitely saw it on a lot of like best sports movie lists. I think it is pretty well received.
yeah,
I don't think a lot of people know about The Big Green. Both of those movies they're more like kid focused sports movies. And they're both on Disney Plus because I just watched Bend It Like Beckham like yesterday. I didn't know Big Green was on there. Now I got to rewatch it. I also like how they both have different dream sequences type things, or imagination sequences where like a player will imagine someone else on the field in place of like the goalie or the other players. And it's just, yeah, I thought, oh, what a weird thing that happens in both of these movies. So, yeah, so Bend It Like Beckham, you think?
yeah. I think the Big Green is just fallen out of the consciousness so much that and again, I think Bennett like Beckham actually probably had Academy Awards nominations at least. I think I might be remembering that wrong. I can look it up. But yeah, I think just yeah, I think they're just in two different leagues.
Way to throw in the sports puns there, Brad.
Hmm.
All right, so our last first round matchup of the tournament on Thursday, March 23rd, we have saved the best for last. Remember the Titans versus Rudy. Two
Hmm.
football movies and two more dramatic movies as well. I re
Gosh, yeah, it's
I
a tough
really
one.
can't be objective. I love Remember the Titans. Of the movies on this list, it's one of the three I own.
I've actually never seen Remember the Titans,
Uh,
so I can't really speak to it that much. But
You're killing me, Smalls.
and I've only seen Rudy once, and that was like 15 years ago. So
I think I've seen clips of it. It's it and 42, I think, are the only movies on this list I haven't seen. But Rudy was one of those that everybody kept telling me, Rudy's got to be on there. Rudy's got to be on there. I'm like, fine, whatever.
yeah, there's actually not a lot of great football movies, and I think that is the one at the top of the list. Um,
Yes. I saw a lot of Remember the Titans on people's list too. So I thought this will be interesting to have these two well-respected football movies about, kind of the underdog story facing off against each other. Like there is no underdog here. These are two titans, two juggernauts, if you will, in sports movies.
Although you did miss an opportunity to put another Sandler on here with The Longest Yard. So,
I considered that one too.
um,
All of the even like the
has he
Water
done a
Boy,
movie
like
in every sport?
seems like it. Ugh. Will Ferrell
Um,
also has a lot of like sports movies also because he has the kicking and screaming about kids soccer and then he has the semi-pro or something about basketball.
Basketball, yeah. He's got yeah, ice skating and
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think Rudy's gonna take this one
No.
because again, it's kind of in the same league as like Happy Gilmore and oh, what's the other one? They're just
League of Their Own.
they
Sandlot.
get the same, yeah, they're just like timeless classics for those types of movies. So I don't think I've ever heard anyone say a bad thing about Rudy. So
All right, so I think if I'm looking at it right, your prediction for the final four is going to be Space Jam versus The Sandlot or League of Their Own, and then it's going to be Happy Gilmore versus Rudy.
I guess
That's going to be
so.
a really weird final four.
All 90s,
Works
right?
for me. We definitely leaned heavy 90s on this list for sure. Like 90s early to mid 2000s.
And you know what? I in the last 20 years, I don't think sports movies have done that well anyway. So like financially.
There is
So
something to be said about we just had so many great sports movies in the 90s. I feel like it was just such a special time for movies and we definitely had a lot of sports both dramatic and comedy, kid friendly like stuff like The Big Green or Angels in the Outfield. We had all those types of movies. Mm. Yeah, I'm getting really old, ain't I? All right. So, Brad, of our list of 16 movies, which one do you think is going to take the crown this year for Movie Madness 2023?
okay, so we got Space Jam, Sandlot, Rudy, and what else?
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. Gosh, I think I'm still I gotta have to go Space Jam.
Well, we'll see.
I think it comes down to um whether people like the movie itself or whether they interpret your contest as a like what's the best movie about sports, you know?
I mean, I think you could look at it either way. It's just more like it could be looked at as like, hey, what's your favorite sports movie versus, hey, what is the greatest sports movie of all time, or at least of these 16 movies? And
Yeah.
I don't think I would say Space Jam is the greatest, even on this list of 16. But I mean, if people want to say it's their favorite, that's their prerogative. I
Well, I
mean,
mean,
it's one of mine. Mm.
yeah, I think that and Sandlot are probably the front runners, but yeah, like what's the mindset of the people voting? Are they going to be like, what's the most quality movie or what's my favorite movie? And I think for a lot of people, their favorite of those four is going to be Space Jam or The Sandlot. And I think if they come down to, well, I'm voting for the movie that best represents sports, I think it might be Rudy.
We will see. I haven't calculated exactly what date our championship matchup is going to be, because after we do the final first round on the 23rd, on the 24th, we're going to start the second round matchups. And then after that, we'll do the semifinals and then the championship. So just keep an eye on the Real Nerds Twitter page. Vote every day for either you can do your favorite movie, you can do the best movie, whatever works for you, just as long as you vote. I don't mind. So yeah, please visit the Real Nerds Twitter page. Check out the Real Nerds website. I will have a Selection Sunday movie madness. Like, you'll get to see the full bracket. I'll give a little bit more analysis on my end, but please check out realnerdspodcast.com and the Real Nerds Twitter page to cast your vote every day until we have crowned our winner of Movie Madness 2023. Brad, any final thoughts on the bracket this year?
I just wish you had deeper brackets. Because as you've been talking, I've been remembering other fun things. Like, I would have loved to see more weirder categories. You know, when you talk about soccer, like Shaolin soccer came to mind. I was like, oh man, that'd be a great one to have in there. Because I remember people liking that a lot, or like a ping pong category. So you could have Balls of Fury in there. Yeah. Sports is such a wide variety. I just kind of wish there were more brackets to choose from.
As I said, I anticipate we will do a part 2 in future years, or we'll, revisit Movie Madness, or sports movies for Movie Madness bracket. But anyway, please, again, cast your vote through the tournament. Really appreciate your participation. And Brad, thank you for joining me tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Have fun voting.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Please vote. And I don't know, what's like a sporty sign off. Get out there and have some fun, kids. Yeah, game on. Yeah, just cut that in there, Brad. Game on, everybody.
Well, a real nerd knows who shot. A real nerd can follow the plot. And a real nerd will give it all they got. Lights, camera, action. Real nerds.
Thanks for listening to Real Nerds Podcast, a Nebulous Visions production. Stream or download episodes, read articles at realnerdspodcast.com. Stream us on Apple or Google Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. Follow us on Facebook, Real Nerds Podcast. Twitter and Instagram at Real Nerds. Watch us on YouTube, Real Nerds Podcast. Email us at realnerds@gmail.com. Call us at 720-6nerds5. Thank you to Sparks Mandrill, Mike at Plan 9 Studios, and Bolognium for all of our groovy theme songs. And that's how you fucking do it!